You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it, but either way, you need to read it. Set in a dystopian American future where almost all countries are Marxist and we're struggling with our identity, written during the Red Scare, it has influenced American politicians to this day and is the key to understanding a lot of the political climate. I would recommend it. Hello, philosophers. I'm Chico, and welcome to the Philosopher's Bookshelf, where we consider books that are philosophically interesting. So today, I've got a book for you. Again, I don't want to say that I'm recommending it or even rejecting it, or I shouldn't say recommending. I definitely recommend you read it. I'm not saying I endorse it, right? This is a book that has definitely resonated with about half of the political scene in America. It is an argument for rational egoism. Check the video that I did earlier this week, and that idea is that the only thing that makes sense to do is whatever benefits ourselves, and so this is exactly at the crux of laissez-faire capitalism, right? The idea that we should just be hands-off, let businesses choose whatever it is that is going to benefit themselves, and that's actually going to benefit everybody else as well. And again, you know, I'm not saying one way or another, okay? I'm not endorsing any political side. I would say that I'm personally neither Republican nor Democrat. And I don't say that to be like, I'm above politics, right? I don't mean that at all, right? I mean, I just think, I have my own views that I think that aren't mirrored totally by either side. And I'm happy to listen to both sides and to try and understand and to follow them where I think that they're right. So this would be definitely a, before I say this, let me just caution you. Whatever system I'm about to say, right? Whatever political party I'm about to say, don't already have your mind made up, okay? I mean, try to understand this other side. If you're on the other side, if it's your side, try to see if it's legit, man. Try to see if this is actually something that you should be believing. Don't just. I know so often when you, because I used to be a Democrat. I used to be a Republican as well, and I remember seeing C-SPAN and seeing little R next to somebody's state and being like, no, yeah, I know what I think about this guy, or D. Oh, geez, of course, here we go, right? Libs, right? Cons. Don't do that. All right, just try to just hear the ideas out, and let's see where we go from there. So this definitely resonates more with Republicans, right? They're looking at it from this perspective that when we are allowing businesses to do what they do, we are making the economy better. We are making the world better for everybody. This is definitely the idea trickle down economics of Reagan. Today, Paul Ryan is said that he was very highly influenced by this book specifically. So yeah, it's an important book to understand what people think about. Written in 1957, in the middle of the Red Scare. Well, I should say at the very towards the end of the Red Scare, by an author named Ayn Rand. So Ayn Rand is an interesting person. Number one, she made up that name. All right. So if you've ever looked at it, AYN. If you ever looked at it and you're like, Anne? Is it an interesting way of saying Anne? It's not your fault. It's just some stuff she came up with. It's a nom de plume, right? A pen name. Written by this person, Ayn Rand, who is intensely individualistic. She was actually born in Russia, educated in Russia as well, and then after college came to the United States, was enamored with New York, wanted to write film material, and instead wrote novels. She's considered a philosopher. Most philosophers are pretty poor fiction writers. Jean-Paul Sartre is a notable exception. Rand wasn't a great philosopher, but she was definitely a great fiction writer. And by not a great philosopher, I don't mean her philosophy was terrible. What I mean was that she didn't advance philosophy very much. I mean, she took Nietzsche and Aristotle and kind of threw them together. But not that that's bad, right? I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just saying, like her contribution was more this kind of a book than academic philosophy, something like that. Rand is also famous for other books, The Fountainhead and Anthem. I've read Fountainhead and I have not read Anthem. Both of these, I would say Atlas Shrugged and Fountainhead are both excellent fiction works. I mean, they're very well written, and they definitely get you, engaged in the story. So, philosophy aside, they're good books. They're fun books. The purpose of Rand's stated purpose for writing this book was to show how she said that the world needs these quote unquote prime movers, right? People, in other words, that are innovators. Your Mark Zuckerbergs and stuff like that, Bill Gateses. We need these people, and when we get them, we abuse them. And that we should just get out of the way and let them do their thing, right? Ayn Rand was intensely hands-off government, laissez-faire, right? Let them do what they want to do when it comes to trade and things like that. She tried to show this by having the world of competent people going on strike, right? What would it be like if people just said, shirk their duties, just said, you're going to keep abusing me, then I'm gone, right? And in some senses, we see stuff like this today, where corporations will move their businesses out of the United States so that they can operate in a more tax-friendly environment. She was, I would say, very successful in this book, showing what you could call the plight of the rich, which seems like an absurd thing to say, but follow me on this, all right? I work really hard at this show, right? I mean, I have, my regular philosophy teaching job. I've got children, I've got surfing, and I also have this show. It's a lot of work, and I want it to be really good. So what if somebody came along and saw my show and was like, I want to be a philosophy show person too. And for whatever reason, maybe he doesn't have the drive to work hard, or just doesn't have the ability for some reason, just can't come up with a philosophy show as incredible as this one. Then what if that person went to the government and then said, hey, it's not fair that this guy gets all the good shows, right? He should be sharing some of his ideas with me and with anybody who wants to have a good show. I'd be mad, right? I'd be like, no way, man. I put in this work, right? This is from the heart, and you're just going to take it? It would be very frustrating. Now, apply that to people who are very successful in business, right? These people are people who have worked very hard, have had their own ideas, they've taken big risks, and to come along later on and say, hey, you should share that with everybody else, that's infuriating, right? And in this book, Rand does a great job of putting you in the perspective of the person who is competent, who has good ideas, and who is being ransacked. She called them looters, right? People who are looting you from your profits, from your ideas, from from your own skills, things that you have come up with yourself, all those kinds of things. It's infuriating, right? So Rand does a good job of showing us how those kinds of people would feel like they were being abused and underappreciated, right? They would say, I'm providing all this stuff for you guys. I like to do it, but I deserve the reward, and you don't get to just take it, right? I thought it was very good, well written as well. I hated the bad guys. I mean, they just were whiny and not. I mean, they were definitely caricatures, but they weren't so ridiculous as I couldn't believe them, right? They were believable, but so whiny and so annoying that you just, especially the James Taggart, Dagny Taggart's brother. Dagny Taggart's protagonist, I talked a little bit about in the Rational Egoist episode. Dagny Taggart is is the one who is trying to decide, should I shirk my duties? She is the vice president of her business, of her grandfather's business actually, and her brother is the president, and her brother's constantly saying, it's not fair that you have all the good ideas. You should share them with me. Everybody should get a chance, right? And it's just so annoying, right? So I definitely appreciated that. I thought that was good. Yeah, my biggest objection, I would say, to this book, the main idea is that the crux of this book is that we have these supermen. This is where Rand got a lot from Nietzsche. That we have these Übermensch, right? These super, or we could say people, because Dagny Taggart is a woman. These super persons of indiscriminate gender, and they are very competent, right? And they are very driven and motivated, and they are very moral, right? They very much want to do what we, or they want to behave in a moral way, right? So you might think, and this is where the American politics part comes out. You might think, isn't it benefiting corporations most when they cheat, lie, and steal, and to get the most profit? And Rand says, for these supermen, right? They won't do these things if we just let them be, because those ill-gotten gains are not going to be benefiting them, and that's the idea, is to benefit yourself. If you get it by an ill-gotten way, it would be much like, I don't know, like if you were to give chocolate to a dog, right? Or if a dog were to steal chocolate, which would be more likely, right? It would not be something that benefited him, even though it's something that's very good, because it's not for him. I think the biggest objection here is that it doesn't seem like this is the same, the same criterion that she had before. We have two types of choices, a good and bad one. What she said before is whatever benefits you is good, whatever doesn't benefit you is bad. And now she's just saying there are some benefits that are good and some benefits that are bad benefits. Well, that's a totally, a new criterion. What is that additional thing? That sounds like morality to me, right? And if you're going to say the right thing to do or the rational thing to do is whatever benefits you, right? Then you can't have this extra, certain benefits are good or certain benefits are bad benefits. What you need to be able to say is the right thing to do is what is good, morally good, or something like that, right? So, my biggest objection was it seems like she sneaks in this additional criterion for adjudicating between choices. And I also, personally, I hated the idea. She has one of the characters, so Dagny Taggart, right, is protagonist, and she meets this guy, Hank Rearden. And Hank Rearden is married to a person that sucks, admittedly. But the idea seems to be that you have no obligations to your family. If they're not benefiting you, you should just leave, right? The same with Dagny and James, her brother, right? And to an extent, I understand what the point is here. It seems irrational to just abuse yourself constantly. I mean, if you're in a relationship, don't let me dissuade you. If you're in a relationship where you're being abused in a way, I mean, definitely you should leave that relationship. But I don't think it's we get into familial relationships to benefit ourselves, right? I think, and I've said this before, I think we get into familial relationships to benefit the other people, right? Or when it comes to brother and sister, obviously you don't get to choose that. But I think that is what's good for a sister to do, is to try to help the brother. And I don't think that means that Dagny shouldn't leave. I think that means that if she left, it's for a different reason than benefiting herself. I think it probably would benefit her brother to not have her there to see I can't keep making these bad choices. So yeah, it was repugnant to me to say that you should leave your wife if she's not benefiting you. That sounds awful. But I also thought it was good. This book was good in that it reminds us that taking away the incentive for hard work is against our self-interest. It's really easy to spend other people's money, right? It's really easy to say, oh, you rich people have all this money. Let's just, what's the big deal if I take it and spread it around some more? I definitely think that I could see now, why that would be very, almost even humiliating for a rich person to just be robbed and have their stuff thrown around. And I understand if you're looking at it like, they have some obligations to us to the rest of us schmoes, because we provide the means for them to be rich. Yeah, definitely. I just mean, like, there's got to be some kind of limit. There's got to be some kind of you don't go so far, and just make them like everybody else, because then what's the purpose of them to continue to work so hard? If I were to give two people farms, and one person was very innovative and brought forth a ton of produce, and one person was just very lazy and didn't do very much, and I said, okay, now you guys both get the same amount of pay, why would the first person keep working so hard if he's not going to get any benefit? And I could come at him with all this, well, it's your obligation, your duty, but ultimately he's going to say, no, that's not, this isn't something that is benefiting me, right? This is something that I have no motivation to go after. I also think the book was poorly reasoned, in that it showed that it seemed to say that rich people couldn't find benefit in helping others, right? So I think many of our richest people have found that they are happiest because they are involved in charities. You see this all the time. Of course, there's tax write-offs and all that stuff, but I don't think that's the only reason. A lot of times you have guys that are thinking they're benefiting the world, and that is what drives them now. No longer are they driven by being, stacking money upon money. So in sum, I think Rand gives us a great perspective on the abuse of innovators and stuff like that. But it's also not the case that these innovators are stalwarts of character, right? It's not the case that we've seen, that our most driven and clever people are also our most moral people. So I don't think that she's done a great job in proving to us that we should just let them run with it and just trust that they're going to do the right thing. I think we've seen that they can be just as unscrupulous as anybody else, and for that reason, it would be foolish to let them go unchecked. But I don't know. What do you think about the book? If you've read it, I think you for sure should read it. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Also, like, subscribe, comment, and comment twice. And see you later. Adios.